The topic that I want to share with you today is really not one of the easy topics. It is a heavy subject to some extent. And it's because we as human beings, we seem simple, but deep down we are complex human beings as a result of the traumas and distressing situations that we have gone through. So I would like to share with you a few things that you can consider to be able to go beyond your trauma so that you can become the best version of yourself. My name is Potaki Hlalele, your friend in knowledge and empowerment. And I would like to ask you to take your time to click on the button below and subscribe so that we can grow this community that is going to assist each other to become the greatest version of ourselves. Your support is not taken lightly at all. Let's look at this subject of trauma. None of us, I say none of us, are spared of distressing situations in life. We all go through challenges, and these challenges for some of us are so deep because they associated with our childhood experiences. And these challenges create a lot of trauma. They create a lot of distress. And ultimately, that affects who we become at a later stage of our lives. We can try to avoid that, but the reality is that we go through experiences that leave a lot of scars in most of us. Some of us, we start questioning the essence of the world. Why are we existing in this place? Especially if other people can have the ability to visit so much pain on others. When other people are able to cause so much stress and pain on others to the extent that they feel that they can lose their self-worth. So the traumas that we go through as individuals, starts to make us question what intentions do other people have about us, and we start getting into relationships thinking that I've always have to protect myself, to a point that you don't even experience the love that is being exchanged at an honest level, at a genuine level. I must hasten to say that I'm one of the people who believe that in this life, or when we are born whole, let alone some of the birth defects, physical defects. But generally, we are born whole. We are a people that are deserving of a meaningful life, of a life of significance, a life of fulfillment, a life of abundance. But because of this traumas and difficult situations that we go through, sometimes most of us end up not enjoying those gifts of meaningfulness, significance, fulfillment, abundance, because we believe that we are the experiences that we have gone through. But if you start thinking of your life as you having experienced the hardships, but you are not the hardship, you will start to realize that you can take your life to the next level. Growing up, I know that I would walk into a classroom and teachers would put us down. Some of the teachers would, be on your case to a point that you start to doubt yourself. In some families, I know of some of the people that I grew up who were beaten to a pulp because of, when you look at them, this seem to be minor things, but to a point where some of these kids that I grew up decided to take the life of crime. Others decided just to give themselves up to life because they felt that they are amounting to nothing. The only thing that they get from their parents is beating, but not love. So all of us, we go through these experiences that ultimately rob us of our self-esteem, of our self-worth, and of our confidence. And they affect how we show up out there into the world. And how we process those experiences makes a difference in terms of who do we become in this life. And what I've seen is that Some people respond either in two ways. One being, I would rather pretend that I'm dominant because I want to hide my inadequacies. And we know that is not sustainable. But for some people, they take an inferior position in life, and they end up being absorbed into the victim loop because they feel that these life experiences have demonstrated to me that I'm small, and they want to remain small in this world. But I want to promise you that there's an answer. And the answer does not lie in being dominant or trying to be inferior in life, but it lies in the middle, which is taking a stand in life that says, I'm equal to my challenges. I'm equal to other human beings. I'm not dominant over them. I'm not smaller to them, but I am a human being that can interact with other human beings, and let alone with myself at an equal footing, so that I can become the best version of myself. Because let me tell you, if you start to operate at a dominant level or an inferior level, it is just like a pressure cooker. It is bound to explode at some time. So and staying on that route is not going to help you. So it is important that you rather stay in a situation where you are equal to your situation, no matter the hardships that you have gone through. And I know the hardships that we as people have gone through differ from one person to the other. Some people have been raped at a young age, and I wouldn't know the experience that other people. I mean, what does that mean? And I'm not taking that lightly. Some people could have been deserted. Some people could have lost their parents at a young age. Some people could have been divorced, and it was a horrible divorce. So all of these experiences shape who we are as children, but also later in adulthood, because some of these experiences happen during our adulthood. So let's take a moment to just look at how we can go beyond our traumas and claim the greatest version of who we are. Let's go to the first one. The first one is about facing your demons. Like I said, all of us, we have got hurts that we have faced in this life. And denying that we have gone through those challenges is not going to help. Pretending that we have never experienced certain situations as well is not going to help. It is just a time bomb waiting to explode. So what is then important for us to go about is about facing these demons. And I'm not using this in a religious fashion, but I'm just saying face the hardships that you have gone through. You know, it is so difficult that some people are even afraid to just peep and look inside there and say, what is there inside that hole where I have been taken to in my life? What is going on? They are afraid to even open the curtain because they're afraid to see what is on the other side. So part of going through the healing really is about facing the challenges that you have gone through, because trying to eject them out of your memory, trying to deny them, trying to suppress them is not going to help at all. The whatever that happened in our lives is stored in our subconscious memory. That is why if we do not manage these things well, anything that triggers those memories, that brings those negative emotions that has happened, will lead us to explode. So it is important that we get to a point where we acknowledge the things that we have gone through. And let me hasten to say that facing the demons is acknowledgement, but acknowledging those hardships does not mean justification. It does not mean you justify things that happened to you, but it's just to say, this is what happened to me, and this is the pain that was visited to me, and it happened, and it's something that I cannot erase. It has happened. It's something that I cannot wish it did not happen, because ultimately it's something that happened. So not acknowledging puts you in the victim loop type of situation, but acknowledging gives you the power, because you stand up there and say, this happened to me. What is it that I'm going to do about it? But the mistake that I've seen most people do is to say, and I'm saying this with respect, You don't know what I've gone through. You don't know what it takes to be in this situation. And truly so, I might not know what you have gone through. I might not know what that pain feels like. But what I have learned, because we all have got different experiences, maybe they differ in intensity. But what I have learned in life is that replaying in our minds over and over, replaying the horrible experiences that we have gone through is not helpful at all. It just brings emotional pain. It brings issues around mental health. So I might not know what you're going through, but I might know how to assist or to just give recommendations of how you can move from that space so that you can start building a balance sheet of your life. I'm just borrowing from the financial, or is it management accounting? I don't know. But just to borrow from the financial world, the issue of the balance sheet. Though we all know that the balance sheet is made of assets and liabilities. And I believe that once you stay in those experiences, if you start to see yourself as the experience, you building liabilities. And those could be a liability of anger, jealousy, envy, resentment, all of these negative forces that are taking away from you. So for you to start building your balance sheet, you need to shift from the liabilities and start to build your assets, which leads me to point number 2 after acknowledging. And point number 2 simply is that we need to reframe the experiences that we have gone through. And what is reframing? Reframing is to look at your experiences and start to look at them differently, to say, what could they mean? What is it that I can do with these experiences, no matter how negative they are, so that I can move forward with my life? But let me hasten to say this. I operate from a life coaching perspective. I've got a psychology background, but I'm not a registered psychologist at this moment. I was once a registered psychologist, and I am bound by my professionalism not to get into areas where I'm not trained or licensed to do. And I must say to you now at this moment, if some of the hardships and challenges that you have gone through are so deep that you cannot handle them, neither a life coach, a counselor would be able to help you. So I implore you to look at the assistance of a psychologist or a therapist, somebody that is licensed to go deeper into your situation and help you go through the challenges that you would have experienced. So that is very, very important for me. So when I say reframe, I don't want us to look at it as if it is clicking a switch and then you move from the bad to the good. It is a process, but reframing after acknowledging is the first step that moves you forward away from some of the challenges that you have experienced. Hence, I emphasized earlier that you are not the experience. You are the person that has gone through the experiences. And let me make some of the maybe horrible experiences. Reframing might look something like, when I look at investigation discovery, some people have been incarcerated for things that they have not done, for crimes that they have not committed, and they stay in prison for 18 to 20 years, 30 years. And some of them, just before they are executed, they then get their freedom. But what I have seen working for some of these people is to look at these experiences and say, yes, I've been incarcerated. Yes, the world or the judicial system had been unfair to me. But I'm going to look at at supporting a cause that is going to protect other people that might go through the same experience that I've gone. So they choose not to stay in the past. They choose not to become bitter. Another example that I've seen, there's a lady. here in South Africa. I might not mention the name. I don't have permission for that, but I know she's on social media, who was put in a brothel for many years, and was raped. She went through horrible circumstances. But I think she has written a book, and what she does, she goes to the UN and starts to influence the United Nations on working around policies that works against human trafficking, sex trade, and all those things. So she took her experience, no matter how difficult it was. And like I said, I might not know what she went through. I might not know what you're going through. But what I look at is how she responded to the situation and claimed her power. Just like that rape victim, creating something that supports rape victims to move forward. So we can come up with many examples of people who reframe their lives and say, I am not going to be my perpetrator. I'm not going to be the person that put pain on me, but I am not going to extend the pain to the world, but I'm going to take this pain and say, yes, it happened to me. I acknowledge. However, I'm going to help somebody to change their life so that they can become a better version of themselves. And this really takes courage. It takes courage. I'm not going to sit here and say it's going to be simple. But what is courage? Courage is simply doing that thing that you're afraid to do, no matter how it is. Say it's going to be tough, but I am going to do this so that I can take my life to the next level, which helps to complete the balance sheet. Because if you stay in the victim loop, I've already indicated that you're building your liabilities of envy, jealousy, resentment. You can name them, hate. You can name all of those. But once you start to reframe your life, you build your asset column and you start to have meaning in your life. You start to live a life of purpose. You start to live a life where you impact other people and you make a difference out there in the world, which I believe it is something that we were born for, irrespective of the circumstances that steal away from us. Let's jump into number 3. And point number 3 is about the triggers. We can easily, as people, be taken back or taken aback to the things that happened to us. It might be just a smell. It might be a sound. It might be a voice of somebody that reminds you of your abusive father. There are many things that can trigger us and makes us to go back to that situation. And I always, and I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect, but there are those situations where I say I become a student of my life so that I can be able to manage certain things. So understanding your triggers, it's equivalent to saying you are forewarned so that you can be forearmed. Know it before so that you can be able to know how to deal with it. So your triggers, like I said, could be related to your inner child traumas that are not resolved at this moment. So for you to move forward after reframing, understand what triggers you so that you don't stay in that situation. And if the triggers were to happen, which they will, how then do you go beyond those triggers so that you are not absorbed into them, but you are able to identify your triggers, because that can be the only way in which you can heal, by identifying that which triggers you. So become a student of your life and identify the triggers so that you don't go back to what could have caused your traumas. Let's look at the 4th element, which is your blind spots. All of us, we lack insider awareness on some of the things. We might think that we are doing well. We might think that we've got good intentions towards other people. And the things that we do might land differently to those people. You might think we're doing good, but to them, find that we are impacting them negatively. And some of our blind spots, the biases, if I may put it that way, come from our childhood traumas. So we need to understand what your blind spots are. But you can only know your blind spots once you are open to receive feedback from others. But not only receiving feedback because it might be reactive, but going out there and seeking and asking for feedback from other people. Ask yourself, are you the person who is overcompensating? Why are you overcompensating? Is this your blind spot? Is it because maybe you, as an example, did not receive love from your parents, and then you are giving love to your child in such a way that you deny them the opportunity to learn about the world? You overprotecting them. We know that kids that are too much protected do not learn how to deal with life issues. They do not develop resilient skills. So it's overcompensating, a way of you dealing with some of the things that you might have lost in your life. I'm just making that example. You still have got a homework to go out there and ask yourself, what are some of the blind spots or biases that you have? Are you the type of person that is seeking validation? What is and are you aware of that? Probably you're not aware, because blind spots are things that you are not in your awareness. You know, some people might know about them, but you also might not know. You also might not know about them. So, are you the type of person who's seeking validation? And if so, why are you seeking validation? What is the cause? What is the root cause? What is the source of you going out there and seeking validation? Are you the type of person that goes out there and try to please people all the time? Why are you yearning for validation and trying to please other people all the time? You know, so there's a bucket list of biases that you can start to look at just by reading blogs and starting to list them so that you can find what relates to you. Go to people like I recommended. Ask them for feedback so that they can assist you on this journey of developing yourself. So the last point, which is for me critical, is that the traumas and life challenges are not going to end. They might have been deep rooted at some stage of your life, but later in life, you will also come across other challenges. That's why I always say life is not a straight line between 2 points. It curves, it meanders, it bends. And as it bends and you find yourself at the lowest end of your life, who do you become when you are also going through other challenges of your life? What do you become when you lose your child at an early age? You know, most of us, I want to believe, I'm one of those people that says, I would rather have my children bury me, you know, instead of me burying them. When that happens, that is another trauma that is revisited at you. When divorce comes, who do you become? How do you go out of that situation? Do you choose the victim loop, which is building liabilities, or do you choose the asset loop? The accountability loop, which builds your assets of meaning and purpose in life. And you can only do this by this last recommendation. Show compassion to yourself. The world is hard. Things are hard out there. Things are not smooth all the time. But do you have an ounce of kindness that you're going to show to yourself? I said in the last video, are you your own cheerleader? So you need to be your own cheerleader and get yourself to a point where you appreciate this beautiful being that you see in your mirror, because you should not wait for other people to come and show you love and compassion. When you go through all these challenges that we have spoken about, it is up to you to show love and compassion to yourself. So let's recap. For you to be able to go through your traumas, there are 5 elements I'm recommending. 1, face your demons. Acknowledge that they did actually happen. Number 2, frame your experiences. Look at them differently. But like I said, if they are so deep, go visit a therapist or a psychologist to help you through that process. There are instances where DIY or do it yourself will not work. Point number 3, understand your triggers, because your triggers, if not managed, they will take you back from where you come from. Number 4, get to understand what your blind spots, your biases are, because there are certain things that are not within your awareness, but other people are aware of, and they can help you with feedback so that you can grow. Number 5, show compassion to yourself so that you can become a better version of yourself. Nobody will show you kindness better than you. I hope this lesson is going to help you, or it will help somebody that you love. Please share this video so that we can start to help each other to go through the challenges and experiences that we that are taking away from us, and they should not have the power to take away from us. Until we meet in the next episode, please subscribe on the link below and help me build this community that is going to help others become the greatest version of themselves.